Good afternoon, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with those who would like to participate in a Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So today is Sunday, March 15th. The school board had warned this meeting back on Friday, Saturday morning. So it is a special emergency meeting denoted in open meeting laws. And we are here to discuss next steps. I'm going to, next on the agenda was a motion to approve the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So Commissioner Carey and Commissioner, will you write down?
Sure,
Who's that?
yep.
Commissioner Carey and Commissioner Pillsbury, second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The agenda is approved. Next on the agenda is 2B, the chair's statement. I'm going to have Superintendent Obang lead in the opening of the meeting, and I'll follow after. So thank you.
Sorry, do we need to do public comments?
We're going to do that after this opening statement.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Wool and Board of Commissioners. I'm going to read a formal part from the governor's statement in order to put this into the record in terms of next steps. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Phil Scott has announced a continuity of education plan for the orderly dismissal of all schools and cancellation of all school-related activities no later than Wednesday, March 18th. This directive, which will be distributed to schools later today, will last through April 6th, but may very well be extended for a longer period. Therefore, Burlington School District will have schools on open Monday and Tuesday with the option for parents to withdraw their children without any penalty. And BSD will be closed on Wednesday, March 18th, going forward until further ordered. Thank you.
Thank you. The intent and goal of this meeting tonight is to provide Superintendent Obang a designated time to update the board and his administrative staff and faculty and staff next steps for the Burlington School District. I want the public to be aware and recognize that over the past 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, under the leadership of the VSA, superintendents conveyed throughout the state to discuss next steps, not if schools will close, but when. Thank you, Superintendent Obang, for attending and being present for those all-day meetings on Saturday and Sunday, and for your leadership over the past 2 weeks in communicating to BSD next steps and our community. This morning, Mayor Weinberger and the superintendent and I spoke and shared the importance of a unified approach in next steps. Back in February, Mayor Weinberger reached out to the superintendent and myself, communicating that the city was reviewing past plans and making preparations for the arrival of COVID-19 in Burlington. He emphasized the critical importance of staying fully coordinated to ensure the safety and well-being of all our Burlington citizens. Today, the City of Burlington Town Hall provided all of the citizens of Burlington that information, and we are here now to provide a follow-up to the public on our school district's next steps. The stated goals, which again, the governor had outlined, will be discussed and followed up through the superintendent. So I'll conclude my chair statement. Thank you, Superintendent Obang, for yours, and we'll move to public comment. And the parameters around public comment will be individuals limited to 1 minute, because we would like to take advantage of the time today with the superintendent and his many district leaders present here on Sunday to talk about next steps. So we welcome your public comment, but we do want to limit it so that we can move towards affirmative action.
So before we jump into public comment, I want to make sure that all board members are connected correctly. Commissioner Curry, can you please hold. Commissioner Curry, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so If you do want to speak, I see a number of people have logged in after we started the meeting. If you do want to speak during public comment, please email your name and phone number, and the phone number you're calling in from, to mbfisher@bsdvt.org. That is M as in Mary, B as in boy, FISHER @bsdvt.org. If you're unable to email, we will solicit comments verbally at the end. So I'm now going to go through the list of people who emailed me to speak. I will first unmute the speaker and then identify you. And again, please keep your comments to 1 minute. So the first person to speak is Andrew Stiles. Please hold. Andrew, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Andrew, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, my name is Andrew Stiles. I'm the president of the BEA. I'm speaking for our members and our AFSCME AFSCME colleagues throughout the district. As we move forward toward closing schools, we are asking that we put the health of our community first. Please continue to pay all of the people who work in and for our schools, regardless of their ability to work remotely, including but not limited to all of our hourly workers, food service, maintenance, paraprofessionals, building and grounds, multilingual liaisons, and our colleagues at central office. So we are not adding economic stress and uncertainty to this already chaotic and frightening time. We would also like to ask that you please provide as much clarity as possible to teachers and families about the expectations for distance learning, with knowledge that this model is inherently inequitable and should not be used to increase disadvantages in already marginalized populations. We're all in this together, so let's take good care of each other and remember that we are a community in which we are all welcome because we care about each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So next up is Carol. Please hold while I unmute you. So Carol Livingston, I do not see that you are still connected. Carol Livingston, please email me a new number.
She might have not, Andrew might have spoken on her behalf. She's
Okay.
a teacher.
So next up is Susan Comerford. Please hold.
How do you spell the last name?
Hold on a sec. I'm not seeing her connected. So Susan Comerford, if you wish to speak, please email me a different number. And actually that is the list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute the line for everyone. If there's anyone who wishes to speak at public comment, but I did not call out your name, please just speak your name and I will create a list and then we'll go through that list.
All participants are unmuted.
Right. If you are not speaking, please mute your phone. There's a lot of noise on the line. So who would you like, would anybody else like to speak at public comment? Whoever is barking. Say again, Clark?
Graham Clark.
Graham
Okay.
Clark, thank you, Graham. Whoever has your dog barking, please mute or just give me your name. Does anybody else besides Graham Clark wish to speak?
I think we'll move on. So, Graham Clark.
Graham, what's your,
Yes,
what,
Carol Livingston.
Okay.
Carol Livingston, Graham, what is the last four digits of your phone number?
802-825
8295, and I do not own a dog.
Carol, what are the last four digits of your phone number?
6058.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else wish to speak at public comment other than Graham and Carol? Would the dog like to speak?
Yeah. Tom Peterson.
Tom Peterson, last four digits of your phone number?
4885.
Would anybody else like to speak at public comment?
All right, we're going to capture those three and move on.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Oh, really? All right. So give me a sec. 8295. Oh, hold on. All right, Graham, go ahead.
Hi. Last time I spoke at a public meeting in Champlain last spring, I mentioned all the terrific work that was happening around the district around Beyond Black History Month and other things. And as Superintendent Obang and Russ Ellick continue to put out very good communication to the BSD community, I would also like to invite them to emphasize some of the great work that has gone on with the coaches and the district DELT team, providing educational learning opportunities for the students that teachers throughout the district have been working hard on. And really that's it. I think, we're in kind of crisis mode and need to deal with what's coming next, but we're also an educational organization and we want to communicate with parents and community members about what has been happening in the schools relative to working through this very challenging time. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Carol,
Hello,
go.
Mike.
Carol, go ahead.
Thank you, commissioners, so much for this opportunity and all the work that you've done. Thank you so much. I just have a quick question as a parent educator. Will we continue to have the equalized pay structure that's currently in place so that hourly workers continue to be paid over the next several days and perhaps weeks? And do we continue the current healthcare routine that's in place right now? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol.
Tom Peterson?
Please hold. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi. I wanted to first give the board a chance to answer Carol's question. I'm happy to wait my turn.
Hi,
if somebody
Tom.
would like to answer her.
Thank you, Tom. We will not be answering the questions, but she will be notified through her, through district administration. Public comment.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, public comment, we take all the questions. Thank you.
Thanks. So first, thanks for all of you for all the extra work you're putting in on this. It's very important, and we all appreciate it. My question is about upcoming public meetings. I know regular school classes and activities are suspended, but what about public meetings? There's a board meeting scheduled for Tuesday and other public meetings later this week and month.
Thank you, Tom. I know you're the owner's project manager on the BHS BTC bond project, and I will inform you, as well, the board will be informed as we move forward in speaking with the mayor and the superintendent. So I will be back in touch with you online. I don't have a formal answer right now until we have this meeting and we speak to the mayor based on following what City Hall will be doing as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, I think that was,
We have more, I'm sorry. People have emailed me.
I'm going to time bound this, Mike, to 5:20 for public comment.
Dwight Brown, I do not see you at the phone number you gave me. So please make sure you call into to the bridge line. Josh Brown. You're on the bridge line, please hold. Josh Brown, I do not see you on the bridge line. So I cannot unmute you. I do have questions from Susan Comerford, who says the line is busy. So her questions is, how will the district cover special services? And is there an academic reason for kids to attend Monday and Tuesday? Okay, I think that's it for public comment. That's all I can arrange.
Great, thank you. That's 5:20, almost 5:19, so we will close public comment. And at this time, I would ask the board, again, on our agenda, it's board reflections, but that we limit our reflections to 1 minute so that we can move on with Superintendent Obang's outline. So at this time, would any board members like to make a reflection? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to Superintendent Obang.
Thank you, Chair Wool. I feel compelled to start off with some thank yous because I've received many communications thanking me for my service, but there are a lot of people who have contributed to us arriving here today. So bear with me while I give some acknowledgments. And I want to start with Governor Scott and the AOE and Public Health for the continuous dialogue that we've had over several weeks and their consideration of the range of options and coming up to a resolution that that's possible for us to keep our students safe and continue looking forward to programming. I want to give a special thanks to my superintendent colleagues around the state who've spent countless hours and have dealt with all kinds of communications and challenges, and the VSA for their contributions and their truly masterful coalition of different decision makers coming together to look at next steps. I do also want to thank the board and the chair for staying calm during this period and entrusting your administration to continue to work with decision makers to bring information forward. And a special thanks to the chair for being a solid sounding board and not pushing too much in terms of where the board wants to go at this point, but just listening and being respectful in terms of having the process unfold. So thank you for that. I also want to give thanks to our legal team of McNeil Eddy of responding when we've had quick questions around items that we might be feeling particular about and going forward in terms of the work that we'll have to do. So thank you for that. And also thank parents and community. We received all kinds of communications from parents, and their patience and their advocacy during this period of time is really difficult when you're talking about your most prized, adored people in your building, in your households. And I think our parents have been very respectful in terms of understanding the process, but at the same time advocating in a way that they can be heard. So thank you to our parents out there. But the individuals I really want to say a thank you to is our students. During this period of time, I have read literature and I've talked to superintendents across the nation around who've closed schools and some of the behaviors that happened leading up to closing schools and things like that. And our students have been stellar. I have not heard of one single incident of students, acting out of order in relation to this particular situation. So kudos to our kids once again for rising up. But I do want to apologize to our seniors. I'm sure when you envisioned your final year of high school, this is not what you envisioned. And to be out for an extended period and to lose out on many of the activities and engagement with your teachers and your peers in the next several weeks or months is not what you had envisioned. I'm sure. So I apologize that that's happening for you, and I hope you can use this as an opportunity to learn about life. There are always roadblocks, and what you do with it is going to be the test of your character. So I know that our students will rise to that occasion as well too. So those are the thank yous. I'm sure I'm missing some people to thank you, but I do want to thank my administrative team. They've been very supportive in terms of working with our staff in the school level, and also our health team for continuing to develop the plans. And last but not least, our teachers and support staffs in our schools, who have regular contacts with our number one clients, our students, every day in terms of their work to do. And we'll continue to do that in the next several days and beyond as well too. So thank you. If I forgot someone, I will apologize and thank you later for your service. So one of the things I wanted to do for the board and for the community is to describe our preparation for what the governor described as a continuity of education plan. And so we have been actually sort of strategizing, planning for a couple of weeks now. We've had a team together and looking at all the different aspects and are really prepared to step forward. So the next 2 days of school will give us an opportunity to refine and be able to implement our plan going forward. So I want to kind of share some of that with you, and I'm really going to pretty much push out today. It's not really a time for a lot of questions back and forth because we are meeting tomorrow morning, and I would ask maybe the chair might get questions from the board that might want our health team to review tomorrow before we finalize any plans. And I'm sure this will be the last conversation that we have, and I know we have board meetings. But I would say one thing. I know that the governor gave us some latitude between Monday to Wednesday, and he also said that parents are free to withdraw students without penalty. And we're not being preemptive in doing a full withdrawal on Tuesday, only because we know that we have some issues that we want to make sure that we resolve for our kids when they leave us. We have students who are food insecure, so we want to make sure that plan's in place. And we also have childcare challenges. We know some of our parents are not going to be able to get off of work tomorrow in order to take care of their children. So we're going to be still there to be able to do that. But those of you who can choose to withdraw your schools. I know our schools will provide excellent programming. It's never a negative to be in school, right? We're in the library right now, and you could just sit down and read a book, which is quite productive as well, too. So let me start by sharing with you what we're doing in terms of our planning going forward. I think I did forget to thank the mayor. And I kind of forgot because we've been talking almost on a daily basis around how to come together and collaborate for Burlington as a community. And I want to give a special thanks to the mayor because he's been a great sounding board and also giving some strategies and ideas. And we're also in our team are going to partner up in terms of how we support the entire community and also with all the other different elements that we have. So a lot of support has been given from the city and willingness to support our students and our families. So I didn't want to neglect that as well. So, okay, then I'm going to turn to the slides here. I'll try to speak up. If you go to our website, we've had our COVID-19 website up for probably, I don't know, maybe a week now, and we've started to populate information. And this will be the source where we'll be able to retrieve materials for your students and also information in terms of next steps, right? We know that everyone does not have access to technology, but we've actually had conversations already with Bell Telecom, and Comcast has already put out that they're going to be able to provide for our communities free access to internet for 60 days. So we'll try to work with the schools to make sure families who need that connection can take advantage of that and then still have opportunities to connect. But we'll also be providing hard copy strategies for individuals as well. So if you go to our website, you'll see a little bit of blurb there, blah, 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 from the superintendent, yada, yada. And then we've kind of categorized all the information here for you. So there's the Department of Health best practices. People can go there and look at some of the best practices for healthy hygiene. Right? I won't click them all. You need to go there yourself. some of the updates from us, from the superintendent's office, information from the CDC, the AOE, and the Department of Health, which will be helpful for people to review. Latest AOE updates, Department of Health updates, internet access low income families. So this is the piece I was mentioning. Obviously, if you don't have internet access, you're not going to see this because you won't be able to get to it right now. But we wanted to share that so people can go to that link, and we'll be able to work with the schools to make sure people get that information if they don't have access in their home to do our hard copy, reach out to that. Curriculum resource planning. So this is the location where we will be placing work from K to 12, so it can be accessed, and resources for talking to children about coronavirus. We've had lots of feedback from educators around how do we talk with our students about this, and how do we help parents talk to their students. And of course, always in Burlington, we've translated our communications in the our top languages, so we can access that and be able to communicate. At the same time, there's a doubling of that. We're fortunate enough in our district to have our multilingual liaisons who are doing direct face-to-face communications with our community. Okay, so there you have it. It's we've been up for a few days, and now we'll be able to populate with information around our continuity of education plan, and look forward for updates on that. Let me describe a little bit to you, and I've kind of broke it down to really address what the governor has said in his plan in terms of areas that we need to address. And one of the first areas was around meal service for those who need it. We know that in Burlington that many of our students, if they're not in school, they may not receive meals that day. And we practice that during the snow days. We deliver lunches during snow days, and in the summer we provide lunches as well too. So our lead person for delivering that initiative is Doug Davis, our nutrition person, and he has been working already on a plan, and we'll be ready to implement that plan so we can have centers where people can go and grab bagged meals and go, because we don't want people congregating and eating there. So we'll be sure to be able to offer that for anyone who wants to access that. Big question around service for children with disabilities and special needs. That is always a primary concern for us. What do we do with those students, and how do we accommodate, how do we support them at home? And Laura Nugent, our Director of Student Support Services, has been brainstorming on this strategy and looking across the country in terms of what's happened thus far with that population. And we'll be able to provide some strategies for our staff, and also some strategies for our parents as well too. I'll say right off the bat, and that obviously the level of engagement is not going to be the same as if you're in a school face-to-face with an instructor, right? But we're going to do the best we can as we move forward. And I can see a phasing of this. In the first week, it'll look one way. The second week, it'll look a little different, and then we'll see if there's a third week or not. But it'll kind of change over time. The next nugget that the governor asked us to address was working with state provide district-based options that meet the childcare needs of healthcare workers and other Vermonters, essential to the response to EMS, fire, National Guard, etc. This is an area we had been talking about already in terms of developing partnerships. We've reached out to many of our partners that do childcare in the community, and also using our own resources. And our team under Stacy Curtis, Christy Galise, will be working on that plan, finalizing that plan early this week to give access to those needs. We will certainly prioritize access to those programs to healthcare workers and other emergency responded individuals who have to work during a closure, so we can do that. And the other piece that I think people should be clear about, we're closing schools to mitigate the spatial distance. So whatever we do, we're going to do it in a way that we have students spaced out. So we're not going to take in 100 kids. One site might only have like 15 students and be using 2 or 3 rooms. So we have lots of space between individuals. Victor Prusak will be our city contact, working with the mayor and his team in terms of coordinating opportunities from the city and in collaboration with the with the district. And I think he'll come in handy with the childcare piece, see where the city can give us some supports around that as well too. And then the big piece around curriculum, ensuring trackable work and working remotely. Stephanie Phillips, our curriculum director, has been working probably about, Stephanie, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they gave you the charge to start looking at that, and already has information that could go out tomorrow, but now we have an opportunity to kind of refine that and do a deeper dive. We'll also have assistance from our instructional coaches who have been doing work on developing curriculum platforms in terms of delivery to that piece. And we're going to have a 2-track process where things will be online, but we're going to have opportunities where people who don't have access can come and get hard copy materials to continue their learning within that. And then I have a little section here which goes beyond what the governor has ordered, which I call the expansions, right? So when we looked at our system, we looked holistically around all the things that we do and how do we continue that outside of a school building. So one area I know that our staff will want to know about is employee benefits and pay, right? We want to be as compassionate as possible for all our employees, understanding that they had agreed with us to work all year long. So my intention is to ensure that they receive that pay. Our human resources director, she's here, there's Z. Anderson Brown, will be working with our legal counsel as well as all the union leaders to look at all the different bargaining groups and also the non-unionized groups to ensure that we can support them in their pay and benefits as best as possible that we can do within the guidelines that we have. So they'll receive that communication. I've already indicated that I'll be reaching out to all the different groups tomorrow and set up a timetable when we can finalize some of that work. A population that the governor didn't specifically mention was around our EL population, our newcomers. And Miriam Atasham Kading, our director of EL, there she is. Hey, here is been working with her staff already in terms of resources and strategies and communicating. The one thing that's really critical with that population is having to understand what's going on and what's going to happen in the next days or weeks to come. And so she's been doing that, and we're quite confident that we have the strategies to continue learning for that population and the communication matrix to continue to do that. The other piece that I think is critical for us is the coordination. We've got a large system, coordination of our system leaders and our principals in terms of having a systemic approach in terms of supporting our staff, whether they're in or out and communicating. And we fortunately have a district principal that's communicating and meeting. We're having meetings with the principals and being able to do the day-to-day questions and things like that so we can have a coordinated system response around things that maybe we haven't thought of yet in terms of doing that. And of course, communications from the district level, we have a nice small communications team between Bonnie Ryder, Russ Ellick, and myself in terms of keep the website updated and routinely communicate with our families what's happening and what's to come next. And then the last thing I would say is a piece that we talked about is once we lose our students, what are they going to be doing? Where are they? And we know that middle and adolescent children, when they're not in school and they have a lot of time on their hands, sometimes they roam and wander. So we've had contact with our police department to say, what kinds of supports will you be able to offer in the community to ensure that they keep themselves safe? And the response is they're going to shift to their summer routine. So in the summertime, they take the SROs who are in our schools and they become on the street and they go to the places where the kids hang out, right? The basketball courts, the parks, and things like that, and to ensure that people are being healthy and being safe. So I think with that sort of comprehensive approach, we'll be able to get lots of feedback. I'm sure when we meet tomorrow, someone on our team will come up with some areas that we want to address, and we'll put that into action and continue to do that. So that's the planning we've done. I think we're in good shape to go forward, and we'll continue to develop and implement as we go forward. We don't know how long this will be, but we're ready for the next week at least, for sure.
I think if you wouldn't mind, Superintendent Obang, for those who are watching online, the BHS Register and RETN, do you mind acknowledging your district staff that is here present today on a Sunday with their coordinated efforts with you, just so you can
Absolutely,
acknowledge
and that just tells you that they've been working around the clock. I've been working around the clock, but I can shoot someone a text or an email at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, not expecting a response, but then I get a fulsome response, and I'm like, oh, I actually didn't want that right now, but but thank you anyways. And I'll just go around here.
Their
We've
title.
got their title. So you know what? Why don't you just introduce yourselves so people can hear you
they
speak
can.
as well too?
I think that because Facebook,
Okay.
certain things can't
Oh,
see
Facebook
them.
won't see them. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stephanie. You can start.
Stephanie Phillips, Director of Curriculum. Laura Nugent, Director of Student Support Services.
Stacy Curtis, Director of Early Education.
Christy Galeese, Director of Expanded Learning.
Marty Spalding, Property Services Director.
Shauna Porcells, Principal at Edmond Elementary. Shelley Mathias, Principal at Edmonds Elementary.
Russ Ellick, Communications Specialist.
And hide in the back.
Achieving Gap Lead.
Thank you.
And on our right side, we've got more staff over here.
Miriam Edishamkian, Director of Programs for English Learners.
Okay. And I also consider our legal team part of our staff as well too. So we've got the McNeil team over there.
Thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. It's appreciative. All right, so at that, on our agenda, we have concluded the goals of this meeting. I know that did you?
Yeah, we can talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, perfect. So thank you. Once we'll conclude, I know that there are board members and those that are on the phone, if you have any follow-up questions, and to the community, the greater community, our goal is to be succinct in our response to you over the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, so that if you could, email the superintendent, feel free to copy myself, and we will communicate back online, but we are looking for communication to come out of the district from the superintendent's office. I think we are up to number 8, coronavirus update number 8. So the next would be tomorrow. I think 9 will be 9. But again, that will serve as our community-wide information, and then I know faculty and staff, you'll be working with the principals. At this time, are there any other questions from the board that I could answer after this? Okay. All right. So then I'd like to call this meeting to adjourn. All right. Commissioner Pillsbury, second. Commissioner Ivanchik, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.